Hey, how's it going, guys? Brad the Guitologist here. Late last year, I lost my grandmother. Her name was Norma Jean Canada Jepson. Here's a picture of me and her. She's a really big part of my upbringing, big influence on me when I was young. We stayed at her house a lot, and she would make cookies for everybody at Christmas time and everything. Last time I was over at my mom's house, she gave me a couple of these older pictures of her. But she also gave me this one, and this is going to be the subject of today's video. This is her as a youth, probably, I don't know, 10 years old, 11 years old, maybe at the most, with her accordion. But she was born in 1934. So this picture was taken sometime maybe around 1943 to 45, somewhere in there, I would guess. But you can see that it has a lot of what they call foxing on it. That means, you know, all these little spots. And I think what happened with this is there was no glass when this was being displayed, and that might be somebody opened a Coke nearby and it splattered onto it. Or it may just be that it's just foxing from age. So I've already scanned it into the computer, and I want to show you some of the ways that you can fix old photos in Photoshop. So like I said, I've already scanned this in, and I've already worked on a couple of these spots. So I want to show you a couple different ways you can try to go about doing this sort of thing. You can see here in the background, I'm not so worried about the background, but I was kind of experimenting here with just adding dots. I think this is Photoshop Elements 10. It will still run on a Windows machine. So if you want to actually own your copy of Photoshop and not have to subscribe to Photoshop monthly, now it's a monthly service and you actually have to subscribe to it, and it costs quite a lot. But I use Photoshop for all of my thumbnails that you see on my channel, all that kind of stuff. I want to show you kind of how to remove some of these spots, the easiest way to do it. As with anything, I want to say this up front, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So, you know, if you're an expert at Photoshop, there's no need to verbally assault me because I'm doing something in a way that you weren't taught to do it, or the way that you do it, or whatever. To each his own, you know, however you find best to do this, that's great. But I want to show you a couple of ways that you can do it that I've found that are kind of easy. So what you can do is get your little dropper tool. We're going to grab a color, and we're going to grab one that's nearby. So we're going to get rid of this big spot up here. Okay, so this one right here. So we're going to grab a color that's real close by the spot. So we'll grab this right here, and you can see right here, this is the color we just grabbed. This is the color that that we had selected previously. So we're going to OK that new color. We'll come over here and we'll grab a brush, and we're going to make sure that it's not very big. So this is one way that you can do this, okay? So you can come in here now and try to get rid of the spot by filling this in. But you notice that very quickly, you know, I can fill in this spot, but you can see a spot, it's just a different color now. So I can come back and say, well, I guess that color wasn't too great, and then was it? I might pick a color down here that's a little bit lighter. So I'll pick this one, and you can see that it's selected a color that's indeed lighter, just slightly different. And if I come over here and try to fill this in, you can see it once again. I can still kind of really see that. But here's a way that you can do this where it is a lot more transparent. It's really just a lot better. So what I want to do instead, so let's undo all of this. Let's go Edit, Undo Brush Tool. You can do it this way, or you can just hit Control Z. So I'm going to hit Control Z, and I'm going to undo all of the work that I just did right here. So we'll back all of that up. So we can try that again with a different method. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here instead. I'm going to select the smudge tool. Now it might not be displayed on, you may have to dig for it. Depending on what version of Photoshop you have, you might have to dig for this tool. But if you right click, like if you see the sharpen tool or the blur tool displayed, sometimes you'll just see the blur tool, I think by default. So if you right click on that and you go to smudge, now what you're going to be able to do is come over here, and you want to make sure that the size of the smudge that you're using is pretty small. So the size of my tool here is very small. That's not what she said. I'm such a fucking juvenile. My grandma would not approve, would she? Let's see. Let's up that just a little bit. We'll up it maybe to 10 pixels. Let's do this. So what we want to do, when you use a smudge tool, what you're doing is when you click on an area, you're grabbing that area, and then you can drag into a different area, and you're smudging those two areas together. So what I want to do is grab the area surrounding this foxing spot, and I want to pull inward. So I'm going to grab and pull using my smudge tool. So grab outside of it and pull. Just keep doing this over and over again. Grab and pull, grab and pull. And what that's going to do is it's going to really more seamlessly mix the colors together that are surrounding, and it'll kind of smudge them into one another in such a way, and if you keep repeatedly doing it, it'll smudge it all together in such a way that it's not really apparent that you've done anything there. So the only way you would know is if you really zoomed in and started to analyze the area. You know, you might come to the conclusion that, yeah, something was done there, some kind of thing was done there. But you can see that it's a little bit different looking than what I had before. Now here's an area where I have already spotted this, and I can come in here with my smudge tool also and kind of make that a little bit less apparent, make it where it's not obvious that something had been done there. See, you see what I mean? So what I'm doing basically is just taking these colors and I'm smudging them all together so that it's more of a smear instead of a little dot. See, it's a lot less apparent there. Now we're going to tackle something on the face over here. So let's choose this one right here. This is kind of, actually, you know what? Let's find one that's really difficult. How about this big one right here? So we've got multiple areas right here that we're going to have to go through. And we're also going to have to leave the impression of a line here along her jaw and not screw that up. So let's zoom in on this area. All right, so keeping the smudge tool, you can see here we've got hair. So I want to keep the, like I said, keep the impression of hair. So we'll grab maybe this area right here and pull this inward and get rid of just the orangey look. I want to grab some of this yellow. You can see she's got little flecks of yellow in here in her hair. I want to try to grab some of that too and introduce that back over here. And just kind of, you know, again, leave the impression that there's hair and shadow and stuff, but I want to get rid of the foxing color, the orange. And right in here, for sure, you know, the jawline is going to be very important. We want to keep the jawline for sure intact. You know, I'm being precious with this maybe a little bit because, like I said, it's my grandmother, and I just lost her, and this picture was around a lot when I was a kid, and I don't know when this spill or whatever happened here happened, but it was really heartbreaking when I saw it. My mom gave me this the last time I was down there, and I was like, what happened with all this spotting? She was like, I don't know. So I'm doing my best here to try to clean this up. So now we're going to drag all of this area into this so we can try to eliminate the foxing on the face. And you can see what it's doing. It's, you know, I'm grabbing outside of this area, and it's really doing a good job of smearing all of this together in such a way that it's a lot less evident than using your spot tool. Okay, that's pretty good right there. It's going to be really hard to get all of that orange. I could zoom right in on that, and I could lower the size of my tool down to maybe, let's try 3 pixels here, and we'll get in here even closer and smear some of that orange foxing color out. And we'll just come from one direction and then come back to the other direction. And we just want to make sure that the jawline kind of stays going the same direction. Otherwise, you can make somebody start to look fatter or thinner than they normally would have. But now you could see, I could compare to the old picture. I don't know if you could see that really, but I'll put them up here side by side where you can see. So the before and after are pretty apparent. Now here's this big one on her lower lip. This is going to be kind of hard because it's so large. It's probably obscuring some areas of shadow, like on her chin. But let's see what we can do with it. Let's zoom right in here and let's make the tool a little bit bigger just to start with. I think 10 or 11 was pretty good. Let's try it. Let's go back to 10. All right, so we're grabbing from the outside and we're just pulling, we're dragging inward. Now up here she's got, it's starting with the lip, so we don't want to go too far with this color because that's, her lip obviously is going to stop. And you can make her look like she's got a busted lip if you're not careful. And by you, I mean me. If I'm not careful. But you see what I've done here. I'm dragging from different directions, and all the time I'm trying to keep sort of an artistic eye going here. You know, I want to get rid of the offending foxing color, but I don't want to make it so obvious that something is amiss here, that, you know, something's been done. And what I might do is come in here actually, and I'll select one of these colors that's a little bit lighter, maybe up in here, and then I'll just drop a splotch down here. Maybe drop a couple of little splotches so that we can sort of smudge those in now, like sort of like makeup. I think women could probably relate to this. Like, women, you know, if you have to put on makeup every day, this is probably the sort of thing I imagine that you have to do, is sort of, you know, paint yourself so that these imperfections in your faces go away. But see, look at that. So that giant offending splotch is now gone from that, and you know, if you back out enough, you're no longer going to see that. So that big one that was here on her chin, that was a giant one, and then we had a real big one there. So those two are gone. There was a big one up here in her hair as well, which was really bad. That had obscured this whole hairline that I just did a little bit ago. So anyway, that is how you take away splotches and you try to touch up photographs. So that's the way I do it. That's the way I like to do it with the smudge tool. And I would like to dedicate this video to my grandmother, Norma Jean Canada Jepson. Was born in 1934 and died last year in 2021. I miss you, Grandma.